Hey guys, it's Jen with Spirited Saturdays. Hello, hello, hello. Um, so I like this. I like getting back into the swing of things. It might take me a minute to just readjust. I'm doing this in a different way than I usually do on my computer, so bear with me. I got a haircut today. I'm happy about that. It's been a good day. So, right. I have stories to tell you, but I'm going to wait until the end of the video because I don't want to run out of time because I other things I want to talk about, like the week's topic. The week's topic is deliberately exposing ourselves to triggers and deliberately kind of putting ourselves in harm's way when we know the content of what we're surrounded by or what we're looking at is triggering, and when we kind of look at those things on purpose, purposefully to trigger us. So that's what the topic is, and the kind of, why we do that and what we can do about it. So I think that sometimes people do this and they know from the get-go that they're doing it. They have that awareness, they have that insight, and they go on doing it, but they get what they're doing. And sometimes people catch themselves in the middle of it. Either way, I think as soon as we notice ourselves doing this, we have a choice to change it. Even if it's at the very beginning, you can catch it and you can change it. Everybody can choose not to do this. Everybody can choose to change and to turn their attention to something else. But it really becomes a question of willingness. If you're willing, you can turn around a very triggering situation, even a very scary one. And if you're completely willful, then you can find triggering content in even the safest of resources. I think once you choose to shift your perspective, you can then interpret the material that you see differently. Once you cultivate a desire to change your perspective, and to seek out recovery-oriented material, you give yourself a chance at recovery. Often people who seek out or deliberately expose themselves to triggers wouldn't say they're in a position of wanting to recover. But I really believe at the core of that statement is a misconception. Everybody has something in them that wants to recover. It's about what we give our attention to and what we nurture. So by continuing to seek out the unhealthy, we automatically, unconsciously set in motion and continue to the continuation of nurturing the sickness and all the sick choices. I'll say that again. By continuing to seek out the unhealthy, we automatically and unconsciously continue to nurture the sickness and all of the sick choices. We nurture the desire to be sick. We reinforce the desire to be sick every time we pick up a book with the intention of finding a trigger, or visiting a pro-eating disorder community, or being around a person that we know is going to say comments to us that might validate our eating disorder. I believe that a lot of this comes down to redefining your intention, resetting your intention. You can set an intention within yourself to recover and consequently seek out material that is going to reinforce that desire. That desire was never gone. It was just dormant. I really do believe this. It was neglected. But as much as you neglect it, it will never, and it can never neglect you. By its very nature. You want to survive. I want to survive. We want to survive. There's always that light in you that wants to survive. But so much of the darkness can seem tempting and easier to gravitate towards because you don't have to work as hard to get pulled in by darkness as you do to climb out of it and awaken your light. Shifting the intention means believing that recovery is possible. Doing this is not just about telling yourself, I want to recover, but putting into action, arranging your life so that the benefits of recovery are constantly reinforced for you, whether that's by the people you hang out with, the books you read, the movies you watch, the places you go, the dreams you have for yourself, the art that you like. And this needs to be a conscious effort because it might take practice. And while you're practicing, you might still have an abundance of potential triggers triggers at your fingertips. So you want to be able to counteract that, and you want to be able to say the benefits of going along with this trigger, of staying buried in this book, for example, of looking for validation or reinforcement from my eating disorder. Hold on. Actually, first, you want to recognize that there's a negative side to that. Following triggers is not without condition. You sacrifice a lot. You have to make a lot of compromises. Think about that when you consider putting yourself in harm's way. There is a trade-off, and it might not seem obvious to you, and it might seem too tempting to think about, but it's like it's like making a deal with the devil, kind of. Whether it's heightened neurosis or anger at yourself or shame, there's a trade-off for following a disingenuine path. Always. Following those triggers comes with a cost. And then you want to say, okay, seeking out triggers gives me something, but seeking out health gives me something better. And you want to show that to yourself over and over again, not just say it. And that can come with every decision you make. It doesn't have to be this long, lofty goal, like, or far off thing. It can come with making a decision to eat a recovery oriented lunch. It could be anything, it could be everything. So it could be this minute. You don't have to wait for that validation. And so seeking out triggers gives me something, but seeking out health gives me something better. Affiliating myself with pro eating disorder communities gives my eating disorder validation, but joining a support group gives my feelings validation, and it gives my strength validation. And that's better for me. It's better for me in the long and short term. It's better for that part of me that is genuinely trying to survive and to save me, and to come through. It's my core. It serves that. So anything can be a trigger if our mind wants it to be, but if we're grounded and focused and determined to exploring the possibility, and we don't have to make that commitment right away. All we need to ask of ourselves is willingness to explore the possibility of change. And if we do this, we give ourselves a chance. If we stay stuck, we know what is coming, but remain asleep. We don't always know what's coming, but it seems to be a more predictable and safer path for people, but who choose to stay in that. But yeah, we do remain asleep during that process, and ultimately it's not a good one. So I'm going to tell this quick story and then head out. But this morning I was on my way to my parents' house, where I was making my first video of the day, and I went to the store to pick something up, and there was a woman next to me who was looking at the same item that I was getting, and looked at it and said, she was talking to herself, but I happened to be there. She said, oh, this is really high in calories. And I kind of felt this jolt, back, almost like a PTSD reaction. But I had to realize that she was talking to herself, not to me. She even gave me a once over. It could have at one point in my life been very traumatizing and very, very, very triggering. But that's almost what I mean when I say is if you're in that mindset, anything can be a trigger, even if you're not seeking it out purposefully. So of course, that wasn't something I would have been seeking out. It just happened to be there. But so it's a little off topic, but still, I got to see for myself the progress that I'd made, because I wasn't really affected by it today. In fact, I turned it around and made it into a compassion thing for her. I said to her, oh my God, don't do that to yourself. You don't need to do that. And it was a very kind of sweet, genuine interaction that we ended up having, because I was thinking one thing and she was saying oh, well, I have diabetes, I have to watch it, but so that you never know why people are saying what they're saying, but whatever. I turned it into an act of compassion instead of this fear. I could have stayed kind of paralyzed in that ooh, ouch moment, but I didn't. I turned it into something else, and ultimately I felt proud of myself that I was able to make a lot smaller what used to be very big and very dominating in my mind. And yeah, so anyway, that was an experience I had this morning, and I'm glad I get a chance to talk about it here a little bit. All right. And she wasn't even being judgmental. I could tell the difference. Like, I think most people would be able to tell the difference. So she was cool. So anyway, all right. Well, it was good talking to you guys, and enjoy the week. Okay. Talk to you later. Bye.